Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to the Education, Elections, and Housing Subcommittee meeting. I appreciate you all being here. One of the things I wanted to take up today is how hard it is for people to make this time period. And I'm wondering if we could just start by taking a look at a couple of other options. One would be Monday mornings from 11 to noon. And the other one that I know has a conflict is Thursday at 8:30, but I think the Legislative Black Caucus meets then, so I don't think that works. Delegate Cullison, you're shaking your head. That does not work for you either. No, okay. Okay. How about Monday from 11 to noon? Would that be any better for you? Yes, okay. And Delegate Charkoudian, how do you feel about that?
I could often make it. I'll just say that I have my other job is, Mondays is when I generally do all of those things. And so I will absolutely join if I can. But if there's something that's already scheduled going forward, that's already on the calendar, I can't necessarily clear them.
No, I understood. I think that's true for everybody, that those few business hours that we have during the week in session are precious.
Um, uh,
But
the time is not great for me, Madam Chair, but I can make it work because I think that as much as we enjoy your leadership, we would all appreciate eventually getting these off the calendar. In order to do that, we don't have it's a little bit frustrating, and I plead guilty to it, but I think we haven't had a quorum, a lot of meetings. So I think in order to, empty the drawer, because our drawer keeps being full, we'll probably have to shift, because when I was on this committee last year, the time worked for people, but I guess things change.
exactly. So I'm cut to the quick, Delegate Kaufman, but I do agree with you, yes. Okay, so Delegate Wu is here with us. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have quorum. What I would like to do is to start by talking about MC6, the school holiday bill, and hopefully voting on it to get it out of the drawer. Is there any discussion on the bill? I think we all remember this is the bill that would add a list of school holidays, and now we've now added Juneteenth to that, but made it closing schools for students only to avoid the fiscal note that came with the bill originally. So Delegate Wu, do you want to, did I represent that accurately? Do you want to?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. So first, based on the feedback, we add another amendment to add Juneteenth to the closing dates for students on that list. And second, and based on the suggestion actually made from SEIU, which represented a lot of laborers, and Christopher Cano and Pierre Morrison, and we had I would say, great conversation with both of them, and Patty and Earth Brown was there as well. And we talk about some questions they're concerned. I think basically they're not concerned about exactly about this bill. They're concerned about like other budget discussions, which I feel that's fall into the Board of Education. It's not about this one. They talk about constraints, they talk about minimum wage. I personally feel that's not related to this one.
Thank you, Delegate. Do I hear a motion on the amendments?
So move.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
Okay, Ralph, should we call the roll?
I'll defer to our counsel, Amanda Hunt, if you would like to take the reins.
Yeah, sounds good to me to call the roll.
Thanks. Okay, Delegate Kaufman,
Aye.
Delegate Cullison,
Aye.
Delegate Charkoudian,
Aye.
and I'm also aye. Thank you very much. On the bill, is there a motion to move the bill as amended?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Raise your hands. Any
Aye.
opposed? The bill passes. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, since we don't have Delegate Fraser Hidalgo here yet, I would like to move to a discussion on Delegate Charkoudian's Board of Education compensation bill, MC 7. So, Delegate, can you give us a brief overview of what the bill does?
Sure. The bill increases the salary of Board of Education members. And it at this point, it increases, we have I think the thing that I would point to is we have a commission on compensation. That commission on compensation for Board of Education in 2019, maybe 2020, recommended an increase for Board of Education members. I think at the time it was like $60,000. We actually passed a bill out of the House to increase salary to that amount. It didn't get out of the Senate. I think that was the same year as COVID. So I got to be honest, I didn't follow all the conversations in the Senate, but I just know that that happened. And I don't think it's been picked up again since then. So I picked up the bill this year, looked at a few different aspects, but as it turned out, the Compensation Commission was coming out with their new numbers, and their new numbers, essentially the 124 that's in my bill is between 110 and 130, which is their recommendation. I'll just say, I'm not married to 124 specifically. If somewhere else in the 110 to 130 is a preference for someone on this committee, I'm open to amendments. Where my bill did depart from their recommendations was on the student member of the board. And I know this is an area folks have a lot of different ideas about. So at this point, what I'm doing is just taking the Compensation Commission's recommendations for the student board, a member of the board, and that's my amendment, which hopefully people received. I don't know if we're voting on it today or not, but it just so folks know at this point, my position is sort of the bill with the amendment for the student member of the board, which is like, I think it's 30%. So it's, in either a stipend or a scholarship. So it matches exactly what the Compensation Commission recommended. I will say that I have read the county council supports the bill. Folks probably know that. I see some county representatives here. They can speak to that. The county executive weighed in to say he supports it with something related to recognizing that it's full time. I don't have a problem referencing that it's full time. I would oppose language that suggests that that a member of the school board couldn't have another job, because other than the county executive, who has that requirement in statute, no other elected body, so the county council, which is a full-time job, does not have a restriction on an ability. And some people do work very part-time jobs or consulting or something else. So I don't think it's appropriate. It's not equivalent to a county executive position. So I'm open to the amendment. I haven't drafted, I don't have it, but if folks, feel strong about that, I'm open to that amendment. But I don't, but I would oppose the second part of it, which is you can't have another job.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion on the bill?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Delegate Kaufman.
Yes, I fully support Delegate Charkoudian's bill, and it's for three principal reasons, but I'll be brief. And I'm not revealing anything private because she said it publicly on YouTube last week, but I was really struck by the fact that Delegate Charkoudian said she had to wait till her children were in high school to run for office, because as a single mother, that's what she had to do. And it dovetails with two former members of the Board of Education in Montgomery County that I talked to, and they said the only reason they could make it work is because with the $25,000 and $29,000 of your president, is because they had rich husbands, and I think my third hypothesis is that some of the difficulties that have happened the past few years is because members are juggling their jobs with other with their paying jobs or with their board job like with their day jobs with their board jobs, and maybe that's part of the reason why there's been a lot of negative stuff that perhaps the board should have been aware of, but that's just my hypothesis. But I think it's really an issue of social equity, in that you shouldn't have to have a rich spouse to run for office. And I mean, I'm not begrudging the two people that I talked to, that did, God bless them. But the other thing is that they are managing a $3 billion budget, which is a huge responsibility. And their pay should be commensurate with that. And, I'm for whatever amount can get 4 votes, Madam Chair. But I think it's poverty wages to make $25,000 for such an awesome task. So thank you for letting me have my soliloquy.
Thank you, Delegate Kaufman. Does anybody else have any thoughts on this bill? Delegate Cullison?
I just want to associate myself with Delegate Kaufman's comments.
Thank you very much. That's great. Anybody else have any thoughts about this?
Do we need a motion on the first amendment, the amendment for the student part?
I think that we do, but I'm not sure that we are in a position to vote. Are the amendments and the bill itself in a final form, Delegate Charkoudian?
Yes, you do have the amendments, or you should have the amendments. It came with, I'm just looking, the agenda for today, I believe last night. It's got bill summaries in one of those documents. It's last night. Sorry, I think Ralph, you can help me out. Yeah, the third document on the email that went out at the third document on the email that went out last night at 4:30 has the student member amendment. I'll just say this, if I didn't hear if people had strong feelings about the county executive's position. If people, I don't think it's necessary, but if people, I was just responding to that position about, do we have to say the expectation that this is a full-time job? So if people feel like they do want that as an amendment, I don't have that drafted. But if folks are okay with the bill as is with the student board amendment, then it's all ready to go and you have that amendment.
I move the amendment, Madam Chair.
Second.
Okay, everybody in favor of the amendment, raise their hand or say aye.
Aye.
The amendment passes. So I guess we are ready to vote on the bill.
Yes, we are.
Okay, great, wonderful. Is there a motion?
Move the bill as amended.
Second.
Thank you. Everyone in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Would anyone like to be recorded in opposition? Oh, Delegate Hidalgo disappeared for a minute.
But I don't think he's on the committee.
No, you're right.
Right
you're
now
right.
he's on mute.
Yes, and now he's on mute, right?
I'm
yeah.
here. I'm here.
You're here. Okay, good.
You're
good.
here.
Okay, thank you very much. The bill passes. Now we can turn to MC 13, the cell phone bill. So, Delegate Fraser Hidalgo, would you like to give us a brief synopsis of what the bill would do?
Sure. I mean, I think a lot of folks were at the original bill hearing, but it simply directs the school systems to come up with a cell phone policy. I mean, I think all of us know that at one point or another, having cell phones in the classrooms is a really, really bad idea. It's been a really, really bad idea. There is some resistance to it, but Montgomery County is already doing part of this, not all of it, but part of it. I do think that there probably needs, I don't know how much of it you've, the subcommittee or the committee has studied the issue. But one of the amendments that's probably needed, and I can get it drafted, is also taking into consideration in the classroom watches and other devices that can still be used to access phones, right? And so I think that is maybe something we need to look at. I know there's been some resistance, like what if, students need phones for IEP reasons? There's a carve out for that. What if there's an emergency? If there's an emergency, there's an emergency. You use your phone if you need to. Where you put your phone, you can put your phone in your backpack. It doesn't necessarily have to go in any one place. I know there has been some pushback on if there's an emergency and you need to call your parents if there's an active shooter or something. And I would caution the committee to seriously consider what that looks like, because active shooters can sometimes be drawn to a bunch of cell phones ringing and buzzing. So if there is an active shooter, the cell phones, if they're used for anything, should be used probably to notify police, which has probably already happened. And that's kind of where it is. I am happy to take questions. I know we've already had a bill hearing, so I don't want to presume that you want a bill hearing. But and if you'd like, if the committee would like, I can put together an amendment for your next meeting to make sure you have an amendment that addresses watches and AirPods and all that stuff.
Yeah, it does seem to me that expanding the definition of phone would be worthwhile, just because an Apple Watch is a phone effectively.
Well, I mean, I know that there are students who have used just their AirPods. They have their AirPod, the phone gets taken away from them. They click on the AirPod and they get to still control aspects of the phone from the AirPod, and then from the Apple Watch, it's even more so. And then on some products, you actually have access to almost the entire phone from your computer if you have the right kind of computer running the right kind of apps. So there's those technical pieces.
Delegate Charkoudian, I'm sorry, I didn't see whose hand went up first. I apologize.
I think Delegate Kaufman was first.
Okay, Delegate Kaufman, sorry,
Yeah,
thank you.
Yes, and I apologize that I'm talking so much, but this is important. So my question is, and I don't have your bill in front of me, Delegate Fraser Hidalgo, but also students who have lesser disabilities, like maybe just ADD, not just, but you know what I mean, but a more mild disability that doesn't qualify for an IEP, they get something called a 504 plan. And does your bill have a carve out for students with 504 plans as well?
It does.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to confirm.
Thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate Charkoudian?
Sorry about that. Thank you, Madam Chair. I think, so I'm generally supportive of the direction, interested in the amendments. I think as I read the bill, Delegate Fraser Hidalgo, it's broad in the sense that it still gives the school system the ability to set the policy, is that right? Within the context of the framework that you're offering. Do I have that right?
That is absolutely correct. I wanted to make sure that there were those carve outs, one of the ones that Delegate Kaufman mentioned as well, but just to come up with a set policy across the entire school system.
And then I think there's also, is it your bill or is it someone else's bill that has a sort of similar one for the whole state that we're
So yes,
considering?
I do have a statewide bill, and I will tell the committee there are, I think, 4 or 5 statewide bills that Ways and Means is hearing. They've heard my bill, and I think they've heard a couple more, but there's a total of 4 or 5. There may even be 6. I mean, this is obviously a very, very hot button issue when you have 5 or 6 different delegates from both parties coming to the table wanting this to be addressed. Yes.
So I am interested in if we can get reminded. I think Patty's here from the Board of Ed. Is that right? Is that we get additional comments? I think it makes sense for us to act this year. In addition to whatever we decide in this committee, which I don't want us to wait and then have nothing else pass and then
That's my
we have
fear,
nothing.
Delegate
But
Charcuterie, and
I do want to think about timing and what supersedes what, because obviously if there's a statewide bill that does pass, I don't think we should have something necessarily set for Montgomery County. So let's just think about that when you're preparing amendments, if we want to think about, you know, how this fits with that. I don't have an answer right now. And
Well,
then
I mean,
having
I think that is, Delegate Charcuterie, I think that is absolutely fair, and I think, you know, when in the original bill hearing, I mentioned something along those lines, like the reason I'm putting both bills in is because I want one of them to pass. I would prefer a statewide pass, but if a statewide isn't going to pass, you know, I have kids, and I know a lot of parents. I'm at the age right now with my kids where I am having constant contact, and I know a lot of you who have kids that are up and grown now. You know that period of time in your life when you are having constant contact with other parents and other students and other kids, and you're hearing everything. You're getting all of the intel. I mean, like I said, anybody who wants to see them separately, privately, I can show you videos of the same fight, the same exact fight with 3 or 4 different camera angles that were all posted to social media. And it's really horrible because the people that posted that and the people that fought and the people that initiated the fight and the victims of that fight, that's forever. You know, that's when you do your job interview 30 years from now and somebody Googles you and you come up and you see that you beat somebody up in high school or you got beat up in high school, that's forever. That's why, just one of the reasons why this is so important, not to mention the instructional time. So yeah, I think that's fair, Delegate Charcuterie. And like, I kind of see where the statewide bill goes and where our bill goes. But my primary goal is to get this done across the state. And if that's not going to happen, then I think we need to do it in Montgomery County.
Can I just ask, is your statewide bill effectively the same bill?
Yeah, it's effectively the same bill. Again, a couple of, you know, through my bill hearing and some others, that's when, you know, we got questions like, hey, well, what about this and what about that? And so that's why that came up. And I was like, oh my God. And then my aide said, you do know you can use a MacBook or a Mac product to mirror your phone exactly. And I'm like, yeah, I do know that. But yeah, we need to put that in the bill too. So it's this is a moving target because the tech, like we're trying to plan today for tech that we have today and tech that we don't know is going to come out 5 years from now, because 5 years from now, it's going to be your glasses. And then how do we address that when somebody just used their Apple Glass or their Google Glass or whatever it is, and the teacher thinks that you're paying attention and you're watching a Netflix movie during the entire, instructional time. Like that's so hard, right?
The implant in your brain.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Madam Chair, so can we also just hear from Patty briefly?
I was just gonna ask.
Yeah, thank you.
If you would like to, Patty, if you would like to come on camera and weigh in.
Delegate Charcuterie, can you remind me what your specific question was? There was
I
a
was-
lot of talking after it.
Yeah, honestly, I'm sorry. And I was just trying, I probably could just look this up. I was trying to remember what the Board of Ed's position was on the bill.
So we haven't taken, oh, actually, I shouldn't say that. Well, we haven't taken a position on this bill because it hasn't dropped in the General Assembly yet. The board did have a meeting on
Statewide.
Tuesday. And at that meeting, they took a position on a lot of the statewide cell phone policy bills, which is to oppose those bills under our platform for local autonomy. I will tell you that we do currently have a policy. Montgomery County Public Schools has a policy addressing cell phone use. It addresses personal mobile devices, which includes devices that are used to send or receive data via voice, text, or video. And encompasses in that term mobile phones, e-readers, tablets, personal computers, smartwatches, or other devices equipped with microphones. So it's kind of broad what our policy covers. And then it prohibits students from using personal mobile devices at the elementary level throughout the instructional day from the beginning of the school day till the end. For middle school, it is the same prohibition, except students may use it during lunch periods if the school principal permits it. And then at high school, students can use it during lunch periods and can use it during transitional periods. So those periods between class at the discretion of the school principal. So I think that what we already have in place does largely comply with the proposed bill. There's a little more restrictive. I believe it wouldn't allow use during transitional times at all, if I'm remembering it correctly. And then ours doesn't specifically state the manner in which the phone has to be, put away or out of reach of the students. It does say what needs to happen, but I think it just says that they just can't be used. So it's close, but it's the proposed bill would be a little more restrictive than what we currently have in place.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Is there any more discussion on the bill as far as we have it? So it sounds as though we need to wait for an amendment before we're ready to vote on it, but do you think you can have that back to us fairly soon, Delegate Fraser?
Yes, absolutely, Madam Chair. We can have that back. I think it's a good conversation. As I said, it's a moving target, so I'm happy to, and I do think that what Delegate Charkouti had mentioned, there's a lot of moving parts at the state level too, so it's a good idea to kind of see where all this lands.
Exactly.
I'll get you that amendment, and the only thing that I would add, which I think is very important for this committee to consider, I think it's vitally important for this committee to consider what I'm about to say, and that is that of the videos that I have of the fighting that takes place, most of that fighting takes place in the hallways between classes and during the lunch hour. I want to make that very clear. So this is not only about instructional, which is the primary goal, but if you want to deal with bullying and fighting, giving them their phones in the middle of the lunch hour is a great time when they that's when they have their fights, and that's when they do their filming. So I just think that is a vitally important piece to consider.
I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to ask that question myself. I'm sure it would make the bill more controversial, but there's a big part of me that feels like the most damage is done in so many ways. Bullying. I was really shocked by your story about the fight videos. I must say, my youngest is 34, so this was before my time, but I was really shocked by that. But I think that might be worth thinking about.
One of my children is no longer in MCPS
because of this
a
problem.
variety of reasons,
Variety,
but this is a significant contributing factor. While they were not involved, they witnessed an incredible amount of violence on a regular basis.
Yeah. No, it's certainly worth thinking about. Is there any more discussion on this bill? No. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. And I think, shall we just go ahead and say next Monday at 11 will be the new meeting time? And if you can't make it, you can't make it, because that's obviously always the case. But hopefully we can move quickly through the rest of our work and not have to take up every Monday morning for the rest of the day. So.
You mean by next Monday, you mean February 10th, so 4 days from now.
Yeah, that might be too early. Shall we do it the following Monday? Perhaps?
That would
And
be my
give-
recommendation, to give Delegate
Yeah.
Fraser a doggo time, but
That
I
would
was
be
just
better
gonna
for
say,
me. I couldn't
right,
do this Monday. I could do that Monday, the next one.
the next one, the 18th. Wonderful. All right. Thank you so much. I will see you all at 11 o'clock on February 18th.
take care.
Thank
Take
you.
care, everyone. Thanks. Bye.